and always know you could feel beauty rising.
Hi, my name is Sue Skaski with Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society, and welcome to our show For the Animals. Today is the second of a two-part show. We had so many topics to cover last week, we ran out of time. So with me is Pamela Dean. Pamela was the first co-host we had back 140 shows ago.
Wow.
That was a long time ago.
That many?
Yeah.
Amazing,
so
Sue.
we've got Pamela back in the chair again. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
So we found a lot of articles online, in newspapers, magazines, and we decided to pick some fun topics and talk about them. You know, usually the topics are very serious that we deal with in an effort to, you know, educate, let people know what the real story is out there so things can change. But we decided we need to do some happy things.
Yes.
So the first one
that we came across, we thought was particularly timely with Valentine's Day just around the corner.
Or just beyond us, depending on when the show's.
Right, depending on when the show airs. But we came across an article called "Do Animals Get Divorced?"
Yeah, and the better question might be, do animals get married in the first place? Or is that just in Hollywood in the movies?
I think so. As a whole, as many of you are probably aware, animals are largely a very promiscuous group, with only a very select few species that mate with only one partner over a lifetime.
And okay, so in researching this, we found that more than 90% of the animal kingdom mates with multiple partners. Most animals do not actually choose one mate for a long time, or even a short time, for that matter. Most animals just mate with each other and move on.
Well, there are some interesting exceptions to that rule. One of them, bees. Bees are fascinating in so many ways, but with respect to their mating habits, the queen bee, as many of us have heard of, can mate with any number from 1 to more than 40 partners. In fact, worker bees actually prefer a more promiscuous queen. I wonder if that's just related to exclusive to the bee community.
I want to know who is tracking this, how they can tell one bee from another bee. That the queen has
That would be the question. Sorry.
Do they put little color dots on them?
Don't know.
How do they do them?
I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway, by mating with so many partners, the queen increases the genetic diversity of her offspring. And this is one of the main reasons that animals choose multiple partners to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, we found after a male bee mates with the queen, he dies. Yeah, I wonder if that's like a praying mantis death. You know that death?
Yes, yeah.
Or maybe his only purpose in life is to mate with a queen.
Well, but it is, I might argue. Another promiscuous animal is the bonobo chimpanzee, which mates in all sorts of positions with multiple partners, both male and female.
And we found this one, this was online, in Care to Cause. I believe they're out of Australia. We're just reporting what they say. But bonobo chimpanzees are famous for the frequency of their mating, as well as the many creative ways in which they do the deed.
There are, however, a few animals that mate with each other for life, or at least for a very long time. And one of the most well-known animal is the wolf. With a typical wolf pack consists of the father, the mother, and the young. And it's very similar to, formerly traditional human family, a nuclear family, human family.
And you know, when I think of the hunting of the wolves, and one has to realize that when the wolf is his death affects the whole family unit.
Certainly.
And, you know, the dogs that love us and vice versa, obviously the wolves love each other. And what do they go through if they were mated for life or intended to be mated for life? That's got to be awfully difficult.
Others on the short list of animals that are mostly monogamous are swans. Those, I think most people think of the beautiful swans that, you know, they are renowned for that. Black vultures, which was I found very interesting, which goes to show that it doesn't necessarily mean
beauty.
You have to be right, exactly.
Well, maybe they're beautiful to each other.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. And prairie voles, which is a type of a rodent, unlike most rodents, which are known for their promiscuity and reproduction. Prairie voles do actually mate for life. Termites.
I found that really interesting.
Me too. Turtle doves was not surprising too much.
The next one is?
A parasitic worm. And I read a little bit about it. I can't pronounce the name or spell it, but it's actually a parasitic worm that goes into the human body, and they stay there together for the entire time they are in there.
Wow.
Yeah. We've also, beavers, I believe, are on that list, that beavers tend to mate for a long time, stay with the same mate. And of course, we've all heard of the penguin, the wonderful penguin stories, where they find each other on that mass beach, and somehow, even though they all look alike in their little tuxes, and
Isn't it the male that goes off on the hike?
They come back and they find through everyone, and they will find the same mate. Now, what I learned, though, is that is more of a seasonal. They'll stick with the same mate for that season, but many penguins then do go and new year, new. There is one species, though, that do I believe, of penguins that mate for life for their entire, and they just stick with each other, which is kind of neat.
So do the animals, I wonder, that choose a lifelong partner ever say, later for you?
Yes. As a matter of fact, this is the most extreme example that I could come up in our research for this. Last year, in the Reptilian Zoo in Australia, the world's oldest committed animal couple, they were a pair of giant tortoises. They started fighting with each other after 115 years after their very first date.
I wonder what he did to tick her off.
I cannot imagine.
Still wanting to mate, maybe? I know that scientists told the zoo staff that animals splitting up after that long of a union is very rare.
I would think so.
The picture, I hope we can show the picture of that. It's really cute.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just like...
How did they know that something was up?
Probably because she was spitting at him or doing what she sounded like she was reading him the riot act. Get off me!
I think you're focusing on...
She had a look on her face that had there was no misunderstanding.
Okay.
Get away from me.
Oh. Well, if she's lasted 150 years, my hat's off to her.
150 or 115?
115, I'm sorry, although tortoises can live up to 150 years, so they've got another 35 to work things out.
Well, the female tortoise, actually, we found out, began attacking the male for no apparent reason. No surprise there. But they've been split up since and put into different habitats. And the last check, the zoo staff was hoping for reconciliation, since, like you said, they can live up to 150 years.
Yeah. I read that the zoo staff, one of the tricks they tried, probably bringing some anthropomorphism, they tried to bring in another female to make the female jealous. Hello, I have a feeling these were not females coordinating this.
Yeah.
But they used another female tortoise to bring in with the male to make his mate jealous. However, no dice. Did not work. She didn't seem to care all that much.
I'm telling you, it had to do with libido.
Well,
she was done with him.
This is another species that typically mates for life is the gibbon. And I believe the gibbon is particularly interesting. They're in the monkey, for lack of a primate, excuse me, primate. They are the closest, they form very, very strong pair bonds. They are the closest, I believe, to human beings, genetically speaking, that are indeed monogamous. These animals spend much of their time together. They groom each other, as many primates do, and they hang out literally in the trees, hanging with each other and enjoying each other's company, and stick together.
But alas, research did show in that article that the home life of these primates is not as idyllic as it would seem. The mates occasionally cheat on each other. And I wonder what the ramifications of that are when they go home.
Yeah, out of the tree, find a new tree, right? Well, so there you have it, folks. Animals can indeed get divorced, though not many animals get married to one another in the first place. Except for a few species, monogamy and divorce is mostly a human condition.
And the next article we found, it was really good to come across this one. If you remember from about 3-4 months ago, we had a mutual friend, Neji Barbaras, originally from Brazil, that was on the show, and she talked about the horrible things they were doing to take care of the overpopulation of dogs. The slaughter was just horrible, horrible, horrible. And what we tried to do to make people aware of the situation and provide them the opportunity to contact the Brazilian government, and I know a lot of people wrote to us and talked to us and said that they did. But here's something good to come out of that area.
Yes, there has been a huge animal rights victory that has just been won in São Paulo, Brazil. Governor Geraldo Alckmin recently signed a bill that bans cosmetic testing on animals in the state. And
we found that the ban covers both finished products and ingredients, which is really important. Those caught breaking this new law will be subject to a $435,000 fine per animal. The fine will double for repeat offenders, and the establishment can be closed temporarily or permanently. So it's good. Good news.
That is very good news. What would be so significant? Why would it be so significant for just one part of the country to enact such a ban? The answer comes when we take a closer look at São Paulo's biggest resident industry.
According to the press release from the Humane Society International, the state of São Paulo hosts more than 700 of the 2,300 cosmetic companies in the country, more than any other state in Brazil. And quote, Brazil itself is a major player in the global cosmetics market, the third largest in the world and the biggest cosmetic market in Latin America, with a 58% share, reports the Huffington Post. That's a lot. So it's a big, big win.
I did not know that is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. The victory is attributed to the hard work of local activists. Please don't forget, your voice makes such a difference. And it comes after a large protest outside the Royal Institute in the São Paulo city of San Roque, which led to a raid on the lab, resulting in the liberation of 178 beagles.
You know, people just don't realize what the industries do on animals. And you know what? That beagle being tested on is no different than that beagle at the foot of your bed or your lab or your cat or whatever. It's just, there are other alternatives. But, you know, according to the governor, such direct actions, he said, had less impact on his final decision than the advice he received when meeting with face-to-face animal rights activists, scientists, veterinarians, and members of the cosmetic and perfume industries. So the point is, bring people together. Speak up.
The science is behind. This is a topic particularly dear to my heart. It's shocking to me that these other countries are surpassing the United States in this regard. It's distressing, but And I'd like to say very importantly, we are not advocating by any stretch raiding labs or those sort of tactics. There's, again, the science is behind it. It makes sense. There are a lot of alternatives. It's so archaic. There is no need to keep testing on animals. As Care 2's Abigail Greer, who wrote about this topic, said, more and more scientists are taking a hard look at the relevance of animal experiments for human diseases and improving our lives. The evidence is showing that we can actually get much better answers about human health and develop much more effective therapies if we use human-based tests instead.
Right.
So this goes to the more sensitive topic of medical testing. Cosmetics is a no-brainer. They're out there. Believe me, they're out there, the ones that don't test on animals. The medical issues get a little more complicated, but as she has explained, the science is behind it and has come a long way.
And he also went on to say that, quote, "Our causing animal pain and suffering to test cosmetics is unacceptable and must stop." Be Cruelty Free Brazil campaign for a complete ban has received huge public support, and we applaud the groups of São Paulo who have fought hard for this victory for animals. The ethical stance of the Brazilian public is very clear. Let this be the first step towards the whole of Brazil being cruelty-free.
Yeah. Woohoo! And São Paulo's animal testing ban, I am delighted to report, follows in the footsteps of the EU, India, and Israel, who have already imposed similar restrictions. Activists hope that countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea, who are currently considering animal testing bans, will follow suit. And let's, as a postscript, let's hope that the United States is not far behind.
Hey,
so
takes a couple phone calls. And I had just heard about Israel last month. So,
yeah. Israel is very compassionate generally with respect to animals from what I've read in a lot of respects. But the United States certainly needs to get on board. So look for those products that are cruelty-free. They're out there.
Yeah.
Make your calls. They make a difference.
Okay. And now we want to leave you with a video that we found on Care 2. And you can go online and find these. They are a riot. But this one is entitled Parrot Seduces Cat. You're going to love it. Thank you very much for watching For the Animals, and join us again next week. Enjoy the video.
Feels so good. You're lying here next to me. Oh, what a groove. You have no idea how it feels. My hands just won't keep still. I love you, baby. Run my fingers through your hair. Out of sight. Right there. You like it right there. Closer.
and all was known. You could feel